Columbus Blue Jackets are proud to select Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Almost unprecedented. He went from number 7 in the midterm by Central Scouting to number 1.
Less than a month ago, Pierre-Luc Dubois signed a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Jackets. This coming right around the same time he reportedly said he's, quote, looking for a change of scenery. And I highly doubt that contract extension came with a bus ticket.
This is John Tortorella in your face.
Is this where the relationship between Dubois and Tortorella soured?
And being stapled to the bench by Torts, does this make a trade inevitable?
You don't see trades like this one too often. Superstar for superstar.
Cole Perfetti, great pass, kicked and rebound, scores! Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Pierre-Luc Dubois requesting a trade out of Winnipeg today is the least surprising spoiler that's happened.
But the LA Kings finally land Pierre-Luc Dubois in a sign-and trade with the Jets. They give up a haul.
And he is an enigma in the league because he's a very talented player.
But I think the opportunity to be able to build and help build and help maintain the culture of winning.
Pierre-Luc Dubois recorded 1 point in the Kings series with the Oilers.
As Pierre-Luc Dubois is on the move again, only 1 year with the Kings, now going to the Caps, Corey, straight up for another goalie who's changing teams.
Pierre-Luc Dubois coming in a trade at Darcy Kemper to Los Angeles.
I'm really happy to be here to start training camp, and we get the preseason going, and then we'll go from there.
This is Pierre-Luc Dubois, one of the more polarizing players in the NHL. From his early days in Columbus to his former team in Los Angeles, the more PLD plays hockey, the less fans he seems to accrue. But why? Is it the lack of effort or laziness? Or maybe is it simply not living up to the hype as a 3rd overall pick in the draft? Regardless of the answer, one thing is for certain. Pierre-Luc Dubois will be a part of a trade that destroyed the LA Kings' ability to compete for a cup. To understand why, let's take a look back at some crucial moments in PLD's career to show why hockey fans have grown sour on this player. Now, like I mentioned at the start of the video, Pierre-Luc Dubois was taken as the 3rd overall pick in the 2016 draft, behind some pretty talented players you may have heard of before, like Austin Matthews and Patrik Laine. As a top 3 pick in the draft, expectations were rightfully high for Dubois. As a 6'4", 220-pound centerman, PLD added size and skill to a Columbus team that was quite frankly underrated at the time. In his first season, he scored 20 goals and added 28 assists, totaling 48 points on the year, and demonstrating that his skills were capable of translating to the NHL level. The following year, he continued to develop and totaled 61 points in his sophomore season while playing with Columbus, and even produced at the same level during the 2019-2020 season, which definitely had its complications. Things seemed to be going well on the surface, but underneath, the fit between PLD and the Columbus Blue Jackets was growing sour. At the end of the 2020-2021 season, Dubois requested a trade from the Columbus Blue Jackets, quoting, "At some point, there's Pierre-Luc Dubois, the hockey player, and Pierre-Luc Dubois, the human. I wanted to stay true to myself, to my teammates. I knew if there was a longer deal, deep down, I would have wanted this to happen. I wanted to be real to myself, be real to my teammates and everybody. I know some people are not happy about it, and I get that, but I'm extremely grateful for everything that Columbus, the fans of the city, and the staff have done for me." That very year, he was benched by John Tortorella for what a lot of people like to call lack of effort or lazy plays. And because of that, he ended up being traded to the Winnipeg Jets in exchange for Patrik Laine, a pick who was taken 1 above him in the 2016 draft. Now we move on to his Winnipeg days, where things seem to be looking up for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Following his trade to Winnipeg, this is where I felt Pierre-Luc Dubois truly thrived in his career. In 2 full seasons with the team, he surpassed 60 points twice and cemented himself as a core piece to Winnipeg's lineup. But as contract negotiations were nearing, Pierre-Luc Dubois allegedly decided to request a trade once again, opting to leave the Winnipeg Jets after his short tenure. Now, just real quickly before we keep going with his Winnipeg saga, I just want to say there are no actual reports saying that PLD requested a trade. There are some hinting that he did that, but there are also some suggestions saying that the Winnipeg Jets never actually wanted to offer him the contract he was asking for, and that's why they shopped him around and eventually sent him to LA. But now that we've cleared the air, let's get back into this. Now, it's no secret that it's pretty difficult to keep players in small markets like Winnipeg's. You don't often see star players re-signing in places unless they fall in love with the organization or city. But Dubois had found some success with this organization compared to his previous one in Columbus. So when the news broke, it was honestly a bit shocking shocking because he seemed to be a fan favorite over with the Jets. Nevertheless, PLD was shopped around and eventually found a new home with the LA Kings after signing and trading from the Jets in a big-time trade that would send him to his new home in Los Angeles. Acquiring Pierre-Luc Dubois was no cheap task for the LA Kings, but as a team looking to improve their cup-ready roster, this felt like the perfect fit for the organization and the player. Going all in on their roster, the Kings traded a haul for Pierre-Luc Dubois, sending Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, Gabriel Vilardi, and a 2024 second-round pick to Winnipeg in exchange for their new center, signing him to an 8-year, $68 million contract. At the time, this did feel like a slight overpay to give a player who, at his best, only scored 60 points, but for the LA Kings, they felt like their roster was ready to compete for a cup, and without having a lot of depth at center, Pierre-Luc Dubois was their best option out there, and even at the time, felt like a perfect fit for the organization based on what he had to offer and what the organization was looking for. LA needed help at the center position while they continued to develop young players like Quinton Byfield, and Dubois added size and playmaking to the team that they had hoped would help them compete with some of the other top teams in their conference. Dubois seemed excited to join the LA Kings, and it felt like the connection between the organization and the player was going to bring out the best year for this 26-year-old. But quickly, all of the potential and hope was thrown out the door after just one season. In his first and only year with the Kings, Dubois scored 40 points, but it wasn't really his stats that made fans angry. It was the reports about his lack of effort shining through yet again, and you could see this very clearly when you watched the team play. Lazy started to circulate Dubois' name once more, and there were times where he just didn't give a second effort and was bounced off the puck way too easily. Reports have even come out saying that Rob Blake, the GM of the LA Kings, laced up his skates and got on the ice to try and inspire Pierre-Luc Dubois, and some might even say it was to try and save his job based on how everything turned out, but this was no use and PLD didn't really take anything away from this. The LA Kings were bounced in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs by the Edmonton Oilers yet again, and the front office now had to face reality. This trade was a bust. Rumors about buying out the contract started to circulate, but to everyone's surprise, the Kings managed to find a new trade partner in the Washington Capitals. In the 2024 offseason, the LA Kings decided to trade Pierre-Luc Dubois to the Washington Capitals in exchange for Darcy Kemper, another player who wasn't exactly living up to the contract that he signed. To put all of this into perspective for you guys, after this deal, the LA Kings basically moved on from Pierre-Luc Dubois, Gabriel Vilardi, Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, and a 2024 second-round pick, simply for a goalie who's up there in age and hasn't been living up to their contract in Darcy Kemper. If that doesn't make you angry as a Kings fan, I don't know what exactly would. Not the best moves made by their management team. So who's to blame in all of this? Well, that's actually up for you guys to decide. When it comes to the LA Kings, they didn't exactly put Pierre-Luc Dubois in a position to succeed. They continue to place him on the third and fourth line most nights while not giving him consistent line mates or minutes to really prove himself. But when it comes to Pierre-Luc Dubois, he never truly gave them the extra effort and seemed like he was being very lazy during his tenure with the team. Honestly, it felt like once he got his contract, he just started to coast, knowing that he was going to get that huge payday no matter what. Dubois is now entering his 8th season in the NHL, looking to bounce back from his experiences in Los Angeles. The Washington Capitals have a veteran roster in desperate need of center depth, and this could be the perfect scenario for Dubois to bounce back and get back on track with his career. Unless Pierre-Luc Dubois chooses otherwise, he's going to be with the Washington Capitals for a while because of his no trade clause, which eventually turns to a no movement clause to certain teams across the league. His cap hit will be at $8.5 million for the next 7 years, so hopefully this is the answer that Washington has been looking for when it comes to their center depth. This is just a crazy overall story for a player like Pierre-Luc Dubois. Like I said, he's become one of the more polarizing players because of his lack of effort that a lot of people have been saying he doesn't have when he's playing for certain franchises. Now, this happens all the time. Sometimes players just regress, sometimes they overperform in a contract year, and that's what gets them the deal. But I'm actually pretty confident that Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to have a pretty solid bounce back year with the Washington Capitals, because I feel like this situation is just perfect for him and the game that he provides for this team. But I want to know what you guys think about all of this. That's what's most important. Are you a fan of Pierre-Luc Dubois, and do you believe in these sort of lack of effort, laziness rumors that have been going around about him, or do you actually like him as a player, and do you think that he's going to bring a lot of value to the Washington Capitals, and that maybe it just wasn't a good fit between him and the Los Angeles Kings? Let me know your thoughts and opinions as always below. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you like this one and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I will see you guys in the next one.